Stage 2 of the Rave New Year isn't about pushing harder. It's about who's in your field and who isn't. This stage begins as the sun enters gate 54, shifting ambition away from individual effort and towards the people and relationships that shape what's actually possible. If you're new here, hi. Welcome to my channel. I'm Naraya Fox, and this is part of a short series walking through the Rave New Year stage by stage. If you missed the earlier videos, they're linked below so you can gain a fuller picture of the Rave New Year stages as you process and close out your experiences of 2025. Now, let's step into what Stage 2 is really asking of us by briefly grounding ourselves in what we've just completed. For the last few days, during Stage 1, we navigated the sun in the 38th gate. It was a time of looking back at the struggle of the past year. And during this time, we asked, did you find purpose? Did you find the spirit? Remember, we talked about that in our last video, that Ra had asked that question of us during this stage. It was a time to assess whether the energy you expended in 2025 actually worked, or if it was just full of resistance and, all the struggle just wasn't worth it. But now, that energy is shifted. We leave the struggle behind and we move into the realm of relationships and social ascension. We have entered Stage 2. The sun, now in the 54th gate, the marrying maiden. In human design, this is the gate of drive, of ambition. Gate 54 doesn't operate through individual willpower. Mechanically, it belongs to the tribal circuit, where advancement is dependent on exchange, loyalty, and mutual support. In this circuitry, transformation doesn't occur through effort alone, but through the correct alignment with relationships and with resources. It marks the clear shift from Stage 1 to Stage 2. So Stage 1, Gate 38, this is rooted in the individual circuit, where struggle is personal and purpose is tested internally. Stage 2 moves us out of that fight, the solidarity of that fight, which we can find empowerment in. Not always, but sometimes that's where it leads. And melancholy also. And it moves us into a tribal field of support, something that relies on the close communities, close relationships. Once the sun enters Gate 54, ambition can no longer be resolved privately. It becomes relational by the mechanical design of the circuitry in human design. Everything about it's determined by the beings that are in your aura. Everything about everything. How we're conditioned. Everything about Gate 54. So, the auric environment surrounding us determines whether ambition can move forward or remain stalled. Recognition, trust, alliance with the correct people, they're the true engines of ascent here. Not force, not persistence, not getting lucky. This is why Stage 2 isn't about pushing harder into the future, but rather about discerning the field that you're in as the year closes out. Without the right people, the driving pressure of ambition may all too often just collapse into false striving. With the right allies, movement becomes supportive, natural, and sustainable. Now, while Stage 1 was about looking back at what happened, Stage 2 is about looking at who was there with you. Ambition through the right field. The right field, those who are in our environmental field around us, conditioning us. This distinction matters because living correctly is not something that happens in isolation. We don't live alone. Very, very few people live in isolation, and our lives are shaped through constant interaction. We exist in a world that's really, everything hinges on connection with others. The beings in your aura determine the conditioning field that you're immersed in, and that field directly affects whether ambition can take root or transformation can even occur. No one fulfills ambition or changes their life in a vacuum. Or do they? Let's think about that. I'd love to hear about it if you've had that experience of fulfilling it in a vacuum, all on your own, without any type of input from other people. Leave it in the comments if you have. I'd love to see your design if that's so. So for this reason, though, that no one fulfills ambition or changes their life in a vacuum, for this reason, the essential question at this stage of the closing year, it's not about your goals, but rather it's about your network. What makes now, the second stage of the Rave New Year in 2026, especially potent, is that the sun is not alone in gate 54. So I say in the Rave New Year 2026, because with the Gregorian calendar, we know January right now is 2026. So we're really closing out last year, just to make that clear. So what makes this really potent right now is that for us specifically, for this year, this doesn't always occur. The sun's not alone in gate 54. If you look up here, we have gate 54 and we have the sun, then we have Venus, and we have Mars. They're also moving through this gate, concentrating the pressure around ambition, alliance, and material movement. The sun in gate 54, it brings the core theme into awareness, the drive to rise, to improve one's material position, and to transform through the correct bonds, being that this is a tribal channel. It exposes your ambitions to the light, asking whether they're aligned with reality or driven by some type of false urgency. Because remember, gate 54 is also a pressure gate. It's the fuel of ambition because it's a root gate. Okay, so now without getting pulled too deep into the specifics and the specific details, because you all know that I love the details, but we're going to try to keep this a little bit more on the surface level so it's easier to understand for the newcomers. We're going to talk about Venus and Mars. Venus adds this relational filter. It's not about romance in human design like it is in astrology. Rather, it's about the values and standards that we hold and the morals that we have. In this gate of the marrying maiden, the drive, the ambition, it's about loyalty. It's about value. It's about support. It highlights shared values and standards. So think of it like who you're drawn to and who's drawn to you, revealing which of these relationships genuinely do support your ascent and which are transactional, conditional, or dare I say, relationships constructed, initiated, or fulfilled from a place of the not self agendas. So like I mentioned, Mars is also here in gate 54 right now. Mars supplies the fuel. It brings in maturity, momentum, and the impulse to act. This can feel really, really motivating, but it can also create this type of pressure to move too quickly. And depending on how you're actually designed, what's correct for you to do when it comes to how your own decision-making process is, this could be really, really a hard lesson to learn. If you have solar plexus authority and you're here to wait, or you have lunar authority or soundboard authority and you're here to wait for things to become clear to you in time, Mars here in 54 could really, really push you to take action from a place of mind instead of really truly following your body. Okay, so Mars has to be handled pretty carefully, right? Ambition pursued without awareness can lead to all sorts of stuff. Seriously impulsive or misdirected even. But with all the fiery immaturity that's there, Mars also brings us some gifts. There's this potential mutation. And in this specific gate, it can really lend to transformation. So this is why stage 2 is not about rushing forward. Despite the intensity of this alignment, the new year, the Rave New Year, remains a closing cycle. We're shutting the book. We're reading the last pages slowly and savoring the reflection of 2025. The purpose here, it's assessment, reflection, not commitment to new things. There's this demand almost that's there for ambition in gate 54, but you have to remember that it has to be tempered with discernment and ensuring that you carry what you carry forward, who you carry forward into the new year, that this is all rooted in authenticity rather than this conditioned striving for something more. So at this highest expression, this gate's not only material, not merely material, but there's a mystical dimension to ambition here. An understanding that true advancement integrates both the practical and the unseen. And what you're being asked to examine now is not how far you can go, but who and what you're rising with. This week, the neutrino weather supports a deep audit of your inner circle. The 54th gate seeking transformation, and its polarity, the Earth and the 53rd gate, is about beginning things. But you can't begin the new cycle correctly if you're surrounded by the wrong forces. A key question for this stage is to ask yourself, who are my best allies? Which relationships are built on trust, reliability, and mutual support? Remember, those in your aura shape your conditioning field that you're immersed in. And this stage invites a review of the people who populated your field throughout 2025. Who energized your ambition? Who supported your process of transformation? And consciously or not, who got in the way? There's also profound potential in this transit, specifically because the sun passes through the fourth line of this 54th gate, which Ra described as deeply mystical, deeply mystical, the line of endarkenment and enlightenment. This isn't about networking for business or social climbing. It's about recognizing that your ability to move through the coming year successfully depends upon the quality of the beings in your aura. This stage is about learning to see clearly who's actually present in your field, because these relationships, they're pretty central to ambition and transformation. If you carry the wrong allies with you into this new cycle, you carry the resistance of the old year with you. It's a time for discernment, clarity around who's earned a place in your future and who really truly belongs in the past. Thank you for continuing this journey with me as we move through the closing of the year with awareness. It takes real courage to pause while the rest of the world rushes ahead, and both your body and your awareness benefit from that restraint. We're now halfway through the process, and we've examined which of the struggles were meaningful, which ones weren't. And now we're assessing who truly are our allies. And who may have seemed like it at the time, but really, they just weren't. In the next stage, our attention turns to the mind. The sun moves into gate 61 in about 5 days. So stay tuned for my stage 3 video, where we shift from examining the people around us to examining the inner truth grounded in the details. Thanks so much for watching and walking through this stage with me. I'll see you next time as we move into stage 3. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss it. Bye now.